Why we need the Common Core state standards for mathematics. A lot of times when the word Common Core is mentioned, there's a negative connotation. That negative connotation is based upon a lack of understanding. What do I mean? There are three words we need to clearly define and understand. Standards, statements of what students are expected to learn. Curriculum, the program used to help students meet the standards, including instructional materials, activities, tasks, units, and lessons. Assessment, the process of gathering evidence about a student's knowledge of, ability to use, and disposition towards mathematics. So when you hear the words Common Core, a lot of times the media is falsely and incorrectly putting all of those things together when they should not be together. The standards are just the overarching framework of statements of what students are expected to learn. The curriculum, think about that as the textbooks that students use. Assessment, you can think about that in terms of tests and quizzes, but the bigger thing with assessment are the high stakes testing. We cannot keep saying Common Core, assessment, high stakes testing all lumped in one. The standards are a separate entity from the testing component. So let's break down the history of mathematics. It's going to help you understand how we got the standards and why there's such a big issue. In 1788, Nicholas Pike gave us the first American textbook, a new and complete system of arithmetic composed for the citizens of the United States. The teaching process in 1788 was the following. State a rule. Give an example. Students complete practice exercises. This was in 1788. A lot of things have changed since 1788. So we really need to think about, has our instruction changed over time? Or in some places, has instruction remained the same? And if it has remained the same, we should be asking ourselves the question, why? When you think about the history of mathematics, there are three main areas that it falls into. There's a crisis, there's a reform, and then there's backlash. For example, the new mathematics movement was in the 1950s and 60s. The crisis was Sputnik and then World War II. Our students were not prepared. So the reform movement was based upon students need to develop a conceptual understanding rather than learning just basic facts. The backlash. Parents expressed frustration with their kids' new math homework, complaining the new math was unnecessarily complicated. Crisis, reform, backlash. It happened again. The Back to Basics movement in the 1970s and 80s. This movement sought to emphasize procedural arithmetic skills. Backlash once again. In 1983, there was a publication, A Nation at Risk. It said students in the U.S. were not ready to complete on a global scale. We had a crisis. We had a reform. Backlash. Then we had the standards movement from the late 1980s to the present. It was led by the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. This standards movement sought to emphasize problem solving. Once again, crisis. Had a reform movement. Emphasize problem solving. Backlash. Standards did not sufficiently emphasize procedural skills, not enough memorization, not enough practice. Parents wanted teachers to fulfill the traditional roles of transmitters as knowledge. We have to really think about, what are we trying to develop our students to become? Robots, do routines, plug and chug with formulas, or do we want to develop problem solvers? You need to think about that environment and what does that look like in the context of mathematics. When we say the words Common Core, what you're really getting upset with, and you don't know this is what the real issue. In 2001, there was a No Child Left Behind Act. There are four key components. Increased accountability for states and schools, greater choice for parents, more flexibility for states and local education agencies in the use of federal dollars, stronger emphasis on reading. That first component, increased accountability. That's how we got to this huge era of high stakes testing as a result of the No Child Left Behind Act. But over time, that's gotten convoluted with Common Core. In 2009, the Council of Chief State School Officers and the National Governors Association for Best Practices coordinated a state-led effort to develop the Common Core state standards. It was designed through collaboration among teachers, school chiefs, administrators, and other experts. The Common Core state standards for mathematics define what students should understand and be able to do in their study of mathematics. Period. That's the standards. Stop confusing it with the assessment and the high stakes testing. The standards are just what students should be able to do. Give you some key facts as it relates to the Common Core state standards for mathematics. The standards are research and evidence-based, clear, understandable, and consistent, aligned with college and career expectations, based on rigorous content and application of knowledge through higher order thinking skills, built upon the strengths and lessons of current state standards. Why is that important? If you're in third grade in Florida, that kid moves to Wyoming, they should be learning the same thing in mathematics. Also, the standards are informed by other top performing countries in order for our students to complete on a global scale. The Common Core state standards for mathematics does not tell teachers, coaches, administrators, parents, or policymakers what to do in the classroom, school, or district level. It only provides them with guidance and direction. It does not say you have to teach it this way. It does not say you have to do this strategy. It just provides an overarching direction. Everyone says, I want math to be taught like when I was in school. When you were in school, there was some type of standards. There was some type of basis that your teachers were using. There are two resources I highly recommend. Principles to Action by the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. It describes what a good mathematics experience looks like. The second document, Progressions for the Common Core State Standards in Mathematics. This is a free document. If you do a Google search for it, it'll pop up. It takes you through students learning and understanding through the content domains. What do I mean? Everything a student should know about fractions is written in the document. That same document was broken up into grade levels, and that's how you got the Common Core State Standards. So that's based on a sequence and an order for students to truly gain an understanding, and every year the mathematics builds for the students. When you read through the Common Core State Standards, it never said this document is final, this is it. It said this document should be revised and improved over time. We don't need to just eliminate the standards. We need to do the initial intent, revise them, and make them better so a student, no matter where they are in the United States, will receive a high-quality mathematics experience. And for everyone out there in the world who hates the Common Core State Standards, they want to get rid of them, etc., etc., it's a cycle. Crisis, reform, backlash. Are we going to continue this cycle, or are we going to start thinking forward? What are we going to do to make mathematics experiences better for every student? I'll leave you with this. Where do we go from here? We can't keep saying we want what is best for our students that we so deeply love and care about if we continue the cycle of foolishness, eliminating things and starting back over. We need to improve upon what we have and do what I told my daughter's prior school district. They asked me at a community forum, what do you want from this district for your daughter? I want my daughter to leave your district not as a rule follower, but a problem solver. That's what we need to be developing in math.